The 10 most heartbreaking realities after retirement. If none apply to you, count yourself lucky. If three or more sound familiar, it's time to wake up. We often imagine retirement as a time to relax and enjoy the golden years. No more deadlines, no more pressure, just time, peace, and maybe a bit of traveling or gardening. But for many, retirement doesn't look like that at all. In fact, it can become more stressful, more emotionally taxing, and more isolating than their working years. You think retirement is when life slows down and you start savoring the rewards of all your hard work. But reality can be a different beast. Many retirees find themselves exhausted, overextended, unappreciated, and, sadly, invisible. They give and give, hoping to help their loved ones, only to end up being taken for granted. These are the 10 most painful lessons many retirees have learned, often too late. Let's go through them. 1. You trade your savings for empty promises. A lot of retirees hand over their life savings to their children, hoping to help with a down payment on a house or to support a new business idea. They convince themselves, we're old, we won't need this much money anymore. Deep down, though, they silently hope their generosity will be remembered, perhaps even repaid with care and attention later in life. But too often, the money vanishes, and so does the gratitude. Take Mr. William Dawson in Ohio, for instance. He sold his home and gave his son nearly $300,000 to open a coffee roastery. His son, full of charm, swore, "Dad, just enjoy retirement. I'll take care of everything from now on." 2 years later, William had a stroke. He couldn't walk without help, let alone live alone. His son said business was slow and he couldn't manage caregiving. William ended up in a nursing home, placed in the cheapest shared room, surviving on Medicaid and cold meals, staring at the ceiling with tears he'd never expected to cry. According to an elder rights report in the U.S., over 75% of financial disputes involving seniors stem from broken promises by adult children. Lesson: love your children, yes, but don't use your money to test their affection. What you give should be a gift, not a down payment on care. What you keep should be your cushion, not your guilt. 2. You chase high returns and end up scammed. Plenty of retirees, anxious to grow their savings, fall for offers that sound too good to be true. Because they are. In 2023, a retired teacher in Austin, Texas, Linda Whitman, invested her $400,000 nest egg into what was pitched as a luxury senior living development. The deal offered 7% annual returns with monthly payouts. The promoter? A so-called friend from her church group. "You'll be earning more than any CD at the bank," he said. 3 months later, the office closed down. Phone numbers disconnected. The project was a ghost. Linda lost it all. The FBI estimates that retiree-targeted investment scams cost Americans over $30 billion annually, with most victims aged 60 and above. Lesson: if someone tells you there's zero risk or guaranteed profit, run. And just because someone wears a suit or claims to know your cousin doesn't make them trustworthy. Your retirement savings aren't casino chips. 3. You're too frugal to live and too broke to get treated. Many retirees are generous with their kids and stingy with themselves. They skip meals to save money, refuse new clothes, and avoid seeing the doctor because it costs too much. Joan Matthews from St. Louis had saved for over a decade, cutting corners wherever she could. She gave $60,000 to her daughter to open a daycare center and proudly lived on ramen and reused tea bags. "I just want my kids to be okay," she often said. Then, one winter, Joan collapsed. A heart attack. She needed a triple bypass. Her out-of-pocket expenses? $55,000. Her daughter said she couldn't help financially. The daycare was barely breaking even. Fact: over 50% of retirees with chronic illness delay treatment because they fear the cost. Lesson: your pension and savings aren't trophies. They're lifelines. You earn that money. Use it to live, not just to survive. For you help too much and get blamed anyway. Some retirees practically become live-in staff for their children. They cook, clean, pick up the grandkids, run errands, all with good intentions. But over time, gratitude wears off. The help becomes expected. And once you pause or make a mistake, You might just get blamed for interfering. Margaret O'Hara from Seattle retired early to help her daughter raise twin boys. She made school lunches, folded laundry, and even handled bath time. But one day, after she pulled a muscle and needed to rest, her daughter snapped. If you hadn't been doing so much for them, they'd be more independent by now. Margaret said, I offered my whole heart, and all they saw was inconvenience. Lesson, you are not a nanny. You're not a backup plan. Helping is fine, but don't let it replace your life or your dignity. Boundaries aren't selfish. They're necessary. 5. You treat babysitting as your purpose and get replaced by freedom. Retired grandparents often spend years raising grandkids, feeding them, dressing them, even tutoring them. But once those kids grow up, gratitude doesn't always follow. Helen Simmons in Phoenix watched her grandson grow into a fine young man. She'd cared for him since kindergarten. But the day he left for college, his social media post read, finally free from grandma's constant hovering. Time to breathe. She cried all night. Lesson, love them, but don't live for them. Your life is not their backup plan. You're not an extension of their parenting checklist. 6. You wait for the perfect time to travel and miss your chance. So many retirees say, once the kids are married, once the grandkids are older, then I'll finally take that trip. But time is cruelly silent. Knees wear out. Eyes weaken. That trip to Alaska or France turns into an unrealized dream. Daniel from Vermont talked for decades about hiking the Scottish Highlands. At 72, he finally booked it with his son. But 2 weeks before departure, his knee gave out. He spent the whole trip in a rented wheelchair. Being there, he said, wasn't the same as experiencing it. Lesson, don't wait for the perfect moment. It rarely comes. Take the trip while your body still says yes. 7. You turn into a couch potato and your spark fades. Without structure, some retirees slide into monotony. Wake up. Watch TV. Scroll the phone. Nap. Repeat. One man described it this way. It's like I've turned into background noise in my own home. It doesn't happen all at once. It sneaks in. A day of rest becomes a week of inertia. A month later, you forget what ambition even feels like. Lesson, move. Volunteer. Paint. Dance. Learn TikTok if you must. Purpose doesn't retire just because you did. 8. You save too much and push love away. Some older adults refuse to let their kids spend money on them. They return birthday gifts. They reject new clothes. They won't let anyone treat them to lunch. Thomas Hill in Chicago was like that. His daughter once bought him a new winter coat. Return it, he said. I have an old one that still works. She did. That year, all he got from her on Christmas was a group message. He later said, maybe I made it too hard for her to show she cared. Lesson, let others love you. Let them give. Accepting kindness is not weakness, it's connection. 9. You refuse to age and end up injured. Some seniors push their bodies like they're still 40. Moving furniture, lifting boxes, climbing ladders. Frank Rogers, 74, tried to remodel his basement by himself. One wrong twist, and he ruptured 2 discs. 2 surgeries, and 6 months of rehab later, he finally admitted, pride cost me my spine. Lesson, aging isn't defeat. It's nature. Accepting limits is wisdom, not surrender. 10. You skip check UPS and miss the alarm bells. Feeling fine doesn't mean you are fine. Many retirees stop seeing their doctor, especially if nothing hurts. But by the time something does hurt, it might be too late. Take Uncle Ray. He hadn't had a physical in 4 years. One day he got dizzy walking to the mailbox. It turned out he had high blood pressure and early-stage stroke symptoms. A few more weeks, and he might not have made it. Medical studies show 60% of chronic conditions in seniors are caught early, only because of routine exams. Lesson, the quiet killers are the ones you don't feel. Make that appointment. Final thoughts. The real tragedy of retirement isn't poverty or boredom. It's losing yourself in the name of others. It's giving until you vanish. It's being generous without boundaries, helpful without pause, and silent while your heart breaks. Regret is natural. But living in confusion, neglecting your needs, and hoping others will fill the gaps, That's what we must avoid. Retirement is not the end. It's the beginning of a new phase, one where you finally get to live for you. So tell me honestly, how many of these have you experienced? Even one is worth reflection, but three or more, that's your wake-up call. Start today. Take back your time, your voice, your self-worth. Let love be mutual, not martyrdom. Let your golden years shine for you,